Imagine. Imagine getting mad at Joe Rogan. Imagine getting mad at a comedian, okay? Imagine the White House saying to Spotify, there's something that should be done about Joe Rogan. What's going on, everybody? Cryptix, and this is a pretty crazy story. Like, I'm gonna try to condense everything that we've basically, heard about, or things that have been done over the past week and a half, 2 weeks, with this whole Joe Rogan Spotify controversy. And I think it really should open your eyes to what's actually going on. And hopefully, a lot of people that are, on YouTube, they're taking in information, they're, somewhat intelligent beings. I want you to use your gut here and tell me if something is right or if something is out of place. Before we get into the rest of the video, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe if you are new. Let's get into it, man. All right, so first thing, right? Spotify, they have an exclusivity deal, and Joe Rogan is on the podcast. Joe Rogan got paid $100 million to be exclusively uploading on Spotify. I believe after 48 hours from the episode airing, then Joe Rogan can upload to YouTube, but I believe he cannot make any money on YouTube. It's just for the sole purpose of trying to get the episodes on multiple platforms, which I think may play a role within this video as well. All right, so that's one thing. After that, Joe Rogan for the past, I want to say 6 months to a year, has really been very heavy in terms of content when it comes to the pandemic and, a lot of things regarding that, right? He's had scientists, he's had dietitians, he's had health experts that have actually been the focal point of the vaccine technology on his show. And a long story short, he's been questioning the governments that are mandating certain things that have to do with this pandemic. I can't really say it because I don't want this video to get flagged. I want you guys to be able to watch this video in the recommended feed as well. So, in short, he has questioned them. He has definitely been against the concept of it. And, if you live in the United States, there has been this strong push to have freedom in this country. And right now, if you do not get that poke, you potentially can lose your job. And, if we heard about this 3 years ago, we would have all thought this story was crazy, right? So he's questioned them. He's definitely been against the whole mandate policy, and he's had multiple scientists that have actually provided clinical data regarding the poke and how effective it truly is, and if the pharmaceutical companies are actually doing things to cover up the lack of efficacy when it comes to, getting that jab, right? So, all in all, there's been a lot of people, including the White House, that has pressured Spotify to cancel Joe Rogan, all right? So, I've been on Twitter. I've been scrolling through Twitter. It's one of the worst social media platforms ever, just because the communities within them are just like these, just low-life, basement-dwelling dweebs, basically, right? So a lot of people have been complaining about Joe Rogan, and particularly a political side of the spectrum. I think you know where I'm going with this. The left side of the political spectrum in the United States is basically trying to get Joe Rogan canceled, and even doing things that have nothing to do with the recent outrage. You know how this cancel mob works. They like to rewind the clock back. And yes, over 2,000 episodes, ranging from 1 to 3 hours per episode, there's going to be some things that Joe Rogan slips up on. I can't even imagine myself, talking for 2,000 episodes, having, 1 to 3 hours of content per episode and not saying something stupid, right? I think if a lot of people even watching this video, or even some of the people that are complaining about Joe Rogan talked for, 4 to 6,000 hours, yeah, there probably is something in there that could be, cancelable, if that's even a word, right? So people are starting to dig up old clips of Joe Rogan saying the N word, okay? And, I mean, it's within context. I'm not supporting the use of the word at all, but he is, talking within context of stories and what people have said that, within those stories. And that's basically, why he has said it in the past. He used to say it in his, I think his first couple 300 episodes. He did mention it, and keep in mind, he started this podcast almost a decade ago, so the times have definitely changed. But again, that cancel mob won't stop. They'll dig up something from 1980 if it means they can cancel you if they don't like you. So there's been a series of compilation clips of Joe Rogan saying this word and just certain slurs, but again, in most part, the context of stories. And people have, compiled it, made a video and saying, cancel Joe Rogan. And they obviously cut the clips to make it look like he's just saying it out of spite. But in reality, he's actually saying it, talking about what someone else said or maybe a story that he had. And all in all, Joe Rogan and Spotify, I guess they, talked back and forth. And, Rogan has, quote unquote, decided to delete over 100 episodes of the podcast. Now, does that mean Spotify had nothing to do with it? I can't really say. I have no proof, but I wouldn't be surprised if the PR, department talked to Rogan about this and, convinced him to delete these episodes. And this is exactly what Joe Rogan did not want when it came to signing exclusivity deals. Now, if you do, search up on, Google or whatever, you can type in jremissing.com. And, there will be the series of episodes that actually have Joe Rogan's, deleted clips, basically, deleted episodes, right? So there's over 113 of them at this point in time. That may increase as time goes on because they have to sweep through hours of content, whether that's the PR team from Spotify or Rogan. Now, on top of all this, people are just trying to get Rogan completely off of Spotify. And Spotify is holding their ground, and people are hating on Spotify for this. But I personally don't think it's a PR nightmare for them, and we'll get into that. But the CEO did have some comments about, people wanting to cancel Joe Rogan, remove him from Spotify. And that would be a lose-lose situation from Spotify, right? Because they've already paid Joe Rogan $100 million. If, they remove Joe Rogan could completely start his own site, his own podcast somewhere else. And Spotify is losing millions of concurrent listeners every single day. Since Joe Rogan has talked about, the poke and everything with the mandates, his audience has grown exponentially in the past year. And some people might be mad about that, but people are sick and tired of the mainstream news, the mainstream media, where there's lobbyists, people that have, political ties, just money in general to bribe and to, skew the word that gets out there, right? So the CEO actually came back and said, while I strongly condemn what Joe has said, and I agree with his decision to remove past episodes from our platform, I realize some will want more. And then X said in the note, and I want to make one point very clear. I do not believe that silencing Joe is the answer. I can definitely see a lot of those basement dwellers getting mad at this situation. But then he goes to say, we should have clear lines around the content and take action when they are crossed, but canceling voices is a slippery slope. I agree. He continued, looking at the issue more broadly, it's critical thinking and open debate that powers real and necessary progress. Again, wholeheartedly agree. And then, there was a post, I don't think I'm gonna, clip it in here just because of copyright, but Joe Rogan actually posted an Instagram a couple of days ago on Saturday, and he said there's a compilation made of clips taken out of context of me of 12 years of conversations on my podcast, which I've already mentioned, and it's all smushed together, and it looks horrible even to me. So, again, is it the most, freedom of speech supporting act that you can do. No, it's not. I mean, when you remove episodes of you just, talking about stories and, you're saying some, edgy words, I don't necessarily believe that is the right way to do it by just completely removing the content. Thank, God that there's some people out there that are trying to, archive those podcasts and find them so people can still listen to them if they choose to do so. But at the end of the day, the CEO does have a job to do to make sure that their whole platform doesn't get canceled by, 100 episodes worth of content. In the grand scheme of things, Spotify has, thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of podcast episodes on their platform. And while Joe Rogan is the largest one by a very large margin, I still think, from a PR perspective, yeah, I guess they should be removing his episodes, but if anything, maybe there should be some type of archived playlist on Spotify. Something where, they could have like the edgy type of content for Joe Rogan on a separate, type of playlist or a separate block. Because like when you type on Joe Rogan or you click on Joe Rogan's app on Spotify, you can just get all of his episodes. Maybe they should have like a JRE, extra podcast clip where they can, have all those episodes there, right? The other thing about this is that people like to take things out of context, especially when it's a straight white man winning. I'm just going to say it like it is at this point, right? People do not like the fact that Joe Rogan is very successful. People do not like the fact that he has questioned the government. People do not like the fact that he has questioned the mandates and even the efficacy of the vaccines. And, a lot of people, they want Joe Rogan to get that jab too because they took their own risk by getting it themselves. The other crazy thing here is that the White House, and specifically Jen Psaki, that girl that's always dodging questions when she's asked them, she basically, said there should be action taken. I'll try to, leave a screenshot of the quote on the screen. But this whole situation is just crazy to me, right? Like, let's just, let's not even look at all the specificities with this story. Let's just, rewind the clock back 5 years ago, right? Let's say I told you there's going to be a crazy pandemic. There's going to be a comedian / UFC commentator that is going to talk about this on his podcast, question the mandates that our government is, trying to impose on us. And if we don't do this action that the government tells us to do, we get fired from our job. And then he also has scientists on questioning the vaccine that is supposed to help us, which doesn't have as much efficacy as we originally thought. And then imagine the White House of the free world, the political capital of the free world, right? Saying, yeah, there's something that needs to be done about Joe Rogan, a comedian, questioning the vaccines and the mandates. There needs to be something done about him. Now, I think if, you listen to that story just now, you would think I'm crazy 5 years ago, but this is where we're at in today's society. And I think it's pretty pathetic that a bunch of nerdy, basement dwellers that, live with their mother are trying to cancel this guy. He is a multi-millionaire. You already lost trying to cancel this guy, and you will continue to lose because Spotify is standing their ground. I hope you all did enjoy this video. Don't forget to drop a like, subscribe if you're new, comment down below what you think about this situation, and I'll see you in the next video. I'm Cryptix, gonna listen to Joe Rogan after I edit this video, and signing off.